a loss for words. Sam, Gurley top 10. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you right now. That pick is just awful, really. I mean, I don't think Todd Gurley's a bad player. I think he's actually a good player, but why would the Rams take him? They have a solid running back with Trey Mason. They have really good running backs as well. Benny Cunningham's a good last year also. I mean, I don't see the need there, and the value isn't really there either. With players like Devontae Parker still on the board, Marcus Peters, Trey Wayne, all players who I think are these future Pro Bowlers. So I'm not really sure why they thought they needed to make a running back so early.
Now that I'm over my little shock, I agree. Look, I think that Gurley is a good player, but I think that St. Louis could have done better there. When you've gotten a guy like Zach Stacy the year before, who had a good year, and then Trey Mason last year, and you do have Benny Cunningham, who's a solid backup, I think they do have good enough running backs at this point where they probably should address wide receiver or cornerback, especially...
I don't think it's the big need.
I don't think it's going to make as big of an impact as a new wide receiver or a new cornerback could have made. He could turn out to be amazing, but I just don't know if it's really the best pick in this situation.
No, especially not with his injury risk. I mean, you guys just had Sam Bradford. What happens if Todd Gurley?
Okay, he had an ACL injury. I know he had an ACL injury, but Todd Gurley, I think that he's ahead of schedule, and it's not often you get the Sam Bradford, Derrick Rose, where you get your ACL torn a ton of times. I mean, we could as easily say Adrian Peterson, and that dispels it, but I think he'll be fine. By the way, Minnesota's pick is in, so let's go around and make our predictions, and we will start with the one and only Carl Mogline, the Vikings fan. What are the Vikings going to do?
They're going to pick Trey Waynes, and I don't know if I really want... honestly, I'm happy as long as they take Trey Waynes or Devontae Parker. I kind of personally want them to take Parker just a little bit more because it's fun to have a wide receiver. It's a little bit more of a, it's the new toy idea. Offense is fun to draft. But I think overall, I think cornerback's the bigger need. I think they're going to have a great secondary. And I think they're getting towards a great secondary when you have Rhodes opposite of Waynes and then Harrison Smith as a safety. I think that's a good secondary. So overall, I think it's just a slightly bigger need. And I think that's the reason why it's a better pick.
All right. You know what? I'm going to go Devontae Parker here. From what I've heard, they're probably that he wasn't going to get past them. If he does, Browns are in a lucky spot. Browns are probably in a good spot no matter what. But I'm going to have to go with Devontae Parker here. I think Trey Waynes wouldn't be a shocker either. Ike Taylor, by the way, just said Rams got a steal. Oh, Ike. Ike Taylor. Rams just got us. All right, Chris. It's an interesting pick here. Do they go cornerback and Trey Waynes? Do they go Devontae Parker? Do they go elsewhere?
I have to say, they have to go for Devontae Parker. The idea of getting your college quarterback or a receiver uniting with his college quarterback is just too good to pass up on, especially for a guy as good as Devontae Parker. So I think they have to do it. I think he could develop into their number one receiver now that Jennings is gone.
Mm-hmm. Well, if they bring him in, they got Mike Wallace and him. That'd be
the Vikings don't have much.
That'd be an intriguing combo. Wallace and him.
They got Mike Wallace. Yeah. That's right.
They got Mike Wallace and they got a kid named Charlie Johnson. They got a kid named Charlie Johnson.
Okay, Carl, please don't bring up Charles Johnson like he's actually going to be a legit number one receiver. He's a 3-year
Charles Johnson is up and coming.
He's number 3.
He's up and coming. I got your back.
Look at second half of last year. He actually had
That's because when you're on a team where you don't have a legit number one, you're going to get a lot more catches. Whatever.
That was awesome.
Look,
I saw that.
Miles, Devontae Parker, Trey Waynes, somebody else. What do you think?
It'll be Devontae Parker. I know the Vikings could use a cornerback, but they could use a wide receiver more.
No, cornerback's the biggest need.
I would disagree. I still think that I know you like Charles Johnson, but
defense is trash.
Sam.
No, but I think it's also it's a deeper wide receiver class. We can pick up a good guy.
I think cornerback is the deepest. I think cornerback is the deepest.
Tyler Lockett can drop too. That's the guy who you got.
All right, Sam. Do you think it's cornerback? Do you think it's wide receiver?
I think it's Trey Waynes. But I mean, if I were them, I would take Devontae Parker just because of his speed and size, and not to mention his college quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. But they do also need a cornerback. I don't know. Their secondary has been weak for years now. I mean, a solid corner like Trey Waynes or Marcus Peters to make a lot of sense.
Well, all right. Goodell is out.
You just got to look to the Vikings division.
The Minnesota Vikings select Trey Waynes.
There he is, Trey Waynes. Good job, Carl. And Carl, I got to get your reaction first. There's a new man on the Vikings. There's a new quarterback in the NFC North.
I'm perfectly happy with this. I am perfectly happy with this pick. I think that it's good to look to the defense. I mean, you also have to look to the fact that Mike Zimmer is a defense coach. I mean, he's a defensive coach. So you look to the fact he picked Anthony Barr first last time. He knows the guy he wants, and it's the NFC North. There's some great quarterbacks. And so when you look at, he's the type of guy, along with Xavier Rhodes, where we can start actually competing in the NFC North when we can start shutting down the pass game of some of the other teams.
You know, I think it's a good pick here. I think both of the picks would have been good picks. I'm excited to see how he plays. You know, you're going to need a lot of help. I mean, besides Rodgers, now that Kevin White's in the division too, you've got another wide receiver threat to go alongside Alshon Jeffrey. You've got Calvin Johnson as well. You've got Golden Tate. So you're going to need more than one corner to cover in this division now. And you brought in that second corner. That's, I think, a definite need. I think it's a good pick here. I think that it's going to help them in the long run and in the future, especially with a secondary that's up and coming and developing. Miles, what are your thoughts on this pick?
It's a good pick. But before I go into my thoughts on this pick, I want to point out that Zach Stacy just tweeted out one word, yikes.
Me and Zach Stacy are on the same wavelength, clearly.
So clearly he's worried his job is going out somewhere. But anyway, all right, also,
Sorry about that, guys. Crashed.
Trey Waynes is my favorite. Well, I wouldn't say he's my favorite, but he's the best corner in the draft. And so to add a position of need to someone who's fairly close to where he went to school, it's a good pick.
Mm-hmm. All right, Chris, what are your thoughts on the Viking selection of Trey Waynes?
Well, I don't know. It pains me that they didn't get Parker, because I think that Wallace and Parker combo would be like as good as they've had in a while, probably since, when Sidney Rice was around and Percy Harvin. I mean, I'm thinking back to those good days for the Vikings, but Trey Waynes is a great pick. I think he's going to be good for them. Their secondary needs the help, so I agree with the pick. I'm good with it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Sam, of course, you guys, the Bears, just selected Kevin White, and the Vikings respond by bringing in another guy who's going to play in coverage. What are your thoughts on the Vikings selecting Trey Waynes?
Yeah, I think it's a really great pick. I mean, either Marcus Peters or Trey Wayne would have been a great pick. I think both of them are great cornerbacks. And like I said earlier, the Vikings, their secondary has been awful these past couple of years, and I think a good cornerback is really, really what they needed, and that's a good pick for them. And unfortunately, it's not really good for us Bears and Packers fans, but yeah, I think they made the right choice. But I would have also liked to see Devontae Parker there because his size and speed and the Bridgewater connection. But yeah, the Waynes pick is
yeah. Well, the Browns pick is in, and while I've gotten a couple of picks wrong in a row by saying Devontae Parker, I'm saying Devontae Parker again to the Browns. And I really hope this is finally the right one.
What about D. Shelton?
Yeah, they're Shelton.
I think they got to
Shelton,
go.
and New Orleans is currently salivating over the fact that they could have Devontae Parker if Shelton was picked by the Browns.
I'm still going to go Devontae Parker. It could come back to bite me.
Although does Drew Brees not sound fun with Devontae Parker?
Well, the question is, does Drew? The part where you mentioned Drew Brees and Devontae Parker, the Drew Brees part may be questionable, especially considering we don't know how long Drew Brees is going to be the quarterback of the Saints. Of course, not this draft, but considering the fact that there is a possibility they could be moving on very shortly, you don't know how long that combo would last. Though for next year, that'd be pretty fun. Miles, what do you think the Browns do here?
Danny
Shelton? All right. Chris, what do you think?
I second that. Shelton is he's so good. They got to get him. The Browns have nobody on that defensive line.
All right. Carl, what do you think?
I'm still leaning Shelton. I think it's the pick. I think Danny Shelton's dropped quite a bit. Obviously Devontae Parker's dropped a little bit farther than we thought it would too, but overall, I think it's the right pick for defense. I think that defensive picks we've seen over the years can be a little bit safer, and right now I think the Browns, if they're smart, will go with a little safer of a pick.
Well, after looking at my mock draft and realizing that I took Danny Shelton, I'm going to change it to Danny Shelton because I'd like to get more points.
Although, didn't you also have Devontae Parker to St. Louis?
I did, but if he goes to New Orleans, I still get 20 points, I believe.
True.
So I would
And
be...
clearly Noah's NFL points are the most important thing here.
Currently, by the way, somebody who's one of my friends is leading our group, by the way, Carl, with 690 points. Sam, before we get back...
I think we're a little bit down.
I know, but before we get back to the draft, Sam, what do you...
690 points?
Yeah, ranked
Jesus.
4,967. I'll let you guys know what he's done right. By the way, he got the first 4 picks right. He got Leonard Williams at 5th. He 1 off, I believe. Vic Beasley, he got 2 off. He got Kevin White on the spot. Got Trey Waynes on the spot, though he struggled over the past couple. Last year, not the best year for their draft. Justin Gilbert, Johnny Manziel did not turn out well for the Browns. Sam, do they go with a wide receiver here, especially with everything that's been going on with Josh Gordon, or do you think they go defensive tackle with this pick?
I mean, I think they go defensive tackle here with Shelton. Yeah, like you, I have Shelton mocked to the Browns, so yeah, I would like to see that happen, really. But, I mean, a Parker pick would be good also. I mean, I really did not anticipate Parker falling this far.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think he would go past Minnesota or even the Rams, really. But, I mean, it's a surprising day, and, I mean, either pick would be fine with me. But, yeah, I would like to see Shelton there.
Okay, so just so you guys know, the person who's leading our group has Perryman with the next pick and then Kevin Johnson with the Saints, so I doubt it, but here is the Browns pick.
In the 2015 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Danny Shelton.
Yay, 100 more points. I get 100 more points.
It was always going to be that way. If he was there, no matter what, they were going to take
I don't know. I mean, Devontae Parker was still something that was... I mean, it was an option.
Yeah, it was
Definitely
an
an
option.
I think this
I think
is
the
a great
fact that
pick,
they
though.
don't have a quarterback played a big role, though. Let's be honest.
Oh, by the way, Noah, the Twins just put up 7 runs.
I
in
know
the bottom of the
what
third to
happened.
go up
I know
9-2.
what happened. Please don't remind me. I don't need to hear it.
I will.
I don't need to hear it. Good pick, though. I like this pick for the Browns. I think both Parker and Shelton would have been great picks. Shelton's going to be a big-time run stopper for this team. I think he's going to have a massive impact. Especially, I mean, I don't know how Justin Forstett's going to do, but you've got a guy like Forsett in your division. You've got a guy like Le'Veon Bell, who's a big-time playmaker. Jeremy Hill and Gio Bernard. That's a lot of good running backs. A guy who's going to help out there, a guy who can get after the passer occasionally. I think this is a good pick for the Browns, and I think this is a pick that they needed to make to improve this defense. Yeah.
I think the early winner today would be Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel, the early winner.
Yeah, for the Browns. I mean, no quarterback so far for the Browns. That's
True.
Bradford or Mariota, so.
That's a fair point. The opposite of the Zach Stacy tweet would be Johnny Manziel right now tweeting out yes.
Yeah, that's. I mean, obviously.
But at the same time he's a loser because he doesn't get a wide receiver to use. But then again, they have a later pick which they could use on a wide receiver nonetheless. All right, Miles, what are your thoughts?
On Danny Shelton?
Sure.
Well,
Danny
he's a really talented player. Very big, very good at stuff. I think he's a really good fit for the defense, and the Browns have been loading up on offensive talent, besides a quarterback, that taking a defensive player with a chance to be elite is really a good choice.
Well, really quickly, I didn't even realize, but a guy who's dropping a bit, and I mean, it's not too far. I wouldn't say it's too far, but some people had him a top 10 pick, Bud Dupree.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about him.
Still on his way down, and New Orleans also needs an outside linebacker, though I would think right now the opportunity to draft Devontae Parker may prove a little bit too much to handle. But we are down to about 2.5 minutes, so we're getting to that point.
Well, if he gets past New Orleans, Miami's going to draft a cornerback no matter what. And
Really? You think if
San
Devontae
Francisco
Parker...
might-
Oh, yeah.
You think if Devontae Parker's available, they wouldn't take Devontae?
Well, I still think they take a corner, but San Francisco might take him then. San Francisco definitely would take him.
I would agree. But wow, we're already... Danny Shelton with the big bear hug for Goodell. Wow.
He's huge.
You can
He's a
like really,
monster.
I mean, you can tell how big he is compared